Hello, hello, hello. Are we live? Hopefully we are. Let's just check over here to make sure we're live. Fresh. Can everyone hear me? Let's just check. Over here that it's all working. Hello, hello, hello. Can anyone hear me? Can you type into the chat if you can hear me? Can everyone hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Just want to make sure that it's all working before I start. So if you are out there, please do comment. Yes, great, wonderful. Super pleased that you guys can hear me and I can see comments. Great, so we're ready to rock and roll. Thank you all for joining me. My name is Juliette Bryant, for those of you who don't know me, and I am a plant wisdom woman, a superfood alchemist, and an earth connector. And one of my favourite things at the moment to talk about is empowering women. This has been something that I'm really getting into at the moment, and it's something that I think is so important for us to focus on, is our empowerment, standing in our power and really shining our light out there. So hopefully those of you who are on feel the same. This is something that you are up for, really stepping into your power now, stepping into your strength. And we're going to be looking at how we can do that through nutrition, how we can do that in other aspects as well. One of the things that I've been doing recently is running Wild Women workshops, where we can really tune into that kind of primordial depths of ourselves, that hidden part of ourselves, and looking at all the different ways that we can do that through meditation, through movement, through nutrition, through breath work, all these different aspects we can bring in to really encompass and empower ourselves to step into our light. So I've got some questions for all of you out there. Hello to all of the people watching. If you're thinking about empowering your health, what are some of the things that stop you? What do you find the pitfalls? What are those areas that you struggle with when it comes to your health as a woman? Have a think about that and let me know what some of those areas are that you struggle with. I know there's a slight delay on the typing and talking. So for me, one of the keys, some of the key areas are low energy. This is what a lot of women that come to me, it's for low energy, dealing with shifting hormones. So whether it's PMS, whether it's perimenopause, whether it's menopause, dealing with those shifting hormones. Low sex drive can be a really big one. Weight gain, feeling low, just generally in mood. So these are some of the things that I see on a regular basis coming in. So what is it that you feel is affecting you and your health? So please do feel free to share in the comments. And hopefully I can see them all. Sometimes you can't see everything, but hopefully I can. So as I said, these are some of the areas that we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to start with one of the most common things. You're getting a bit older and that weight starts to go on around your stomach. Anyone have that? The weight going on around the stomach. The rest of you stays quite petite, but your stomach starts to get bigger as you get older. And this is generally something that happens as we get older. It's not so much something that happens when we're younger. It can, but it is the kind of more age-related thing that happens. And one of the keys with this, and this is really important, is it's linked to our stress levels. So how does that work? How is it linked to our stress levels? Well, the same precursor to estrogen and progesterone and cortisol, it's the same hormone precursor that makes cortisol and makes estrogen and progesterone. So if you're really stressed, all of those precursors are going into making cortisol, which is the stress hormone, as opposed to making the estrogen and the progesterone that we need. So the more stressed you get, the more your body holds weight in the middle area. So this can be a sign, it can be a sign of other things, but generally the weight around the stomach area is a sign that our stress levels are too high. We have too much cortisol in our system. So how do we reduce cortisol in our system? Lots of different ways we can do this. One of them is through breathing and just grounding and calming your energy, getting into that centered space. This is a really important thing to do to reduce the cortisol in your body. The other thing is vitamin C. Vitamin C is amazing for reducing cortisol in the body. That's what the body needs, more vitamin C to reduce the cortisol levels. And that's why generally you have a really stressful period, you come out of that stress and you get sick because you've used up your vitamin C supplies in your body, and so your body then doesn't have the same ability to fight off stuff. So reducing cortisol is key for hormone health. It's key for that extra weight. It's key for low sex drive. I mean, it's key for everything really. When it comes to women and men, reducing your cortisol is so important. Really interesting study has shown that vitamin D deficiencies can increase the amount of adrenaline in the system and cortisol. So increasing your vitamin D to support that is a really important thing to do as well. So we really need to be optimizing vitamin D, especially in this country between October and kind of April time. We need to be making sure that our vitamin D levels are optimized. So coming out of winter, quite often people have used up all their vitamin D supplies through the winter. And just as you come into March, April, people start to get coughs and colds and sick again because their vitamin D levels are so depleted from the lack of sun. So now is a great time, if you haven't been supplementing over the winter, to start high dosing for just a few weeks. Take 10,000 IUD of vitamin D a day. D3 with K2 is what you want ideally. The K2 helps to optimize the calcium in the body and optimize the vitamin D uptake. Vitamin D is really important for mood, really important for hormones, immune system. In fact, vitamin D turns on or off 3,000 to 4,000 genes within the body. So this is a huge amount of things that it's affecting. So we really want to make sure that's optimized, and this can have a really profound effect on our hormone health. So that's a really important thing to do. Okay, so a few comments have come in. Hunger the week before periods, yeah, and broken night's sleep due to feeling too hot at night, perimenopause. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to look at those. So we're going to start with hunger. That ravenous hunger that can come in for people just before their periods. It's a doozer, isn't it? It's like, oh, I just want to eat. And usually it's stodgy carbs and stuff to fill you up, and that kind of comfort food or chocolate. Now, some of the reasons why this happens is because what's happening in your body is basically you're climbing Mount Everest twice a month. That's what it feels like in your system. So you climb Mount Everest for ovulation, and then you've got to climb it again for menstruation. Now, what happens with this that is so important is that as you're trying to climb Mount Everest, you've climbed it for ovulation, and then as you come down into that peak, into the bowl before you go up for menstruation, your body wants to recharge. This is its time to reboot, refuel. So you're climbing Mount Everest. Imagine you're climbing Mount Everest and you don't have any supplies, okay? You've climbed it with very little to get up to ovulation. Then you've come back down, and then you're at base camp, and what your body wants is to go, okay, we're at base camp. We need to reboot, fill ourselves up so we can hike again. So the body gets hungry because hunger is a signal to the body that it needs nutrients. The body is so clever, and it knows nutrition comes from food, or it's meant to anyway. But a lot of people eat a diet that is filled with a lot of food and very little nutrients. So one of the things that I recommend is have lots and lots of smoothies with super powders, super greens, stuff like that, to really reboot and fill up your system so that you can recharge before climbing Mount Everest the second time. So this is a really important thing that you do. So that's something that I would recommend everyone gets on board and does, is reboots in that base camp time after ovulation, before menstruation, with really good nutrition. Another key is magnesium, and this is really important because magnesium deficiencies are linked to PMS symptoms. So magnesium is also linked to depression and all of these things when we have low magnesium, and magnesium is essential for women's hormonal cycles. So cacao, raw chocolate, is a great source of magnesium, but you might also want to get a magnesium supplement. So something like Magnesium Calm is really good. It's a powder you put in water, and that's a great thing to have so that you're getting that magnesium on a regular basis. I'm in the process of creating something super exciting. It's the product's finished, but the labels aren't yet. And it's an all-in-one smoothie mix. So it's got magnesium in it, your kind of daily amount of magnesium. It's got plant-based protein. It's got vitamin D. It's got adaptogens, it's got medicinal mushrooms, it's got everything that you could possibly want in it, and you just have that in your smoothie and it kind of fills you up. So that's a great thing. So keep an eye on my website. It's going to be called All You Need, so do keep an eye out. That should be out in the next few weeks. We're just finalizing label design, so that's a really exciting thing. So that's some of the things you can do to tackle the hunger, is make sure you're putting in the really good nutrients, having lots of smoothies, having lots of good fats like avocados, having the raw cacao to help support you as you go into your period. So hopefully that's helped on that. Another comment is the broken night sleeps due to feeling too hot. There are some great things that we can add into our diet, some great herbs that we can put in that can help with bringing down the hot flushes that you can have to help support that perimenopausal shifting that's going on. And on my website, there's a hormone tea, which is a really good tea that you can have. I've also got a, hormone mix, and this, I've been told by people, this is the savior to stop hot flushes. So I've had some great reviews from people with hot flushes on the hormone mix. Some of the different things you can work with that are in either my tea or the hormone mix that really support bringing down those hot flushes is red clover, passion flower, reishi mushroom, chamomile, hibiscus, Agnus castors. All of those things are very, very good to help reduce those hot flushes, to help you just feel calm and not get such a huge amount. One person who's just started taking the tea, and she's had it for the last few weeks, she said she's still getting the hot flushes, but they're not as hot. They've just reduced so that they're much more bearable, and that's only after taking the tea for a few weeks. So that's something that you can add in. The tea and the hormone mix I'm taking now. People can take it at any stage. It's not just for perimenopause. It's for PMS. It's for every kind of stage of the cycle. So that's a really nice thing that you could potentially add in. And I have put up in the thing a code. So if you want to buy any products from my website, the code is LifeArts, all lowercase, one word, and you'll get 10% off my website. So do check that out if you're interested in any of those products. So yeah, for the hot flushes, it's also having cooling things like mint helps to cool the body down, things like that, so that you're reducing that inflammation. Turmeric is another great one because it's just reducing the heat in your body, but it's also about bringing down the bad estrogens in your system to have more balance. So reishi mushrooms are one of the amazing things to help to bring down that bad estrogen. So that is another thing to have a look at and see if that's at all helpful for you. Someone said, I've just found out I have an extreme E. coli infection. How can I treat this naturally? So lots of different things you can do for E. coli. It's quite a big topic. Really, you want to get on high dose antivirals, antibacterials. You want to add in things like, basically you want high dose garlic, you want oil of oregano, grapefruit seed extract. These things will help. Also charcoal I would add in to help flush out the toxins. Those are a few suggestions. Getting good probiotics in would be helpful as well. That's kind of a few of the things. Tulsi, again, another thing that would be very good. If you do send me a message, then I can send you a list of things and dosages because it's quite of a specialist thing, and I'd need to know some more things about what's going on with you to help treat that. So, but hopefully those are a few things that you can do in your body to help support that. But yeah, I would definitely say get on the garlic, get on the grapefruit seed extract, get on the oil of oregano, get because those are all natural antibiotics, so high dosing those would be a really good thing to put in, and the charcoal to help suck up some of the toxins that they're releasing. That would be my point of view for that. Okay, so someone's asked a question: how can I treat breakouts related to hormones? I have tried lots of creams and contraceptive pills, but I still get breakouts. Great question. So generally breakouts, hormonal breakouts, are linked to an imbalance within the hormonal system. So birth control pills for some people can help, but they can also make it worse because they're creating more of an imbalance. They're not natural, they're synthetic, so you're not necessarily creating balance within that. Diet plays a huge part of this, and one of the keys is getting off of wheat and dairy, especially when it's hormonally related, because the kind of hormone area is around here. So these are the breakouts that are linked to hormones. So one of the things is dairy is filled with hormones that aren't natural for the body. So getting off the dairy can be a very useful step, clearing out the system. So again, taking things like activated charcoal or C60 hardwood charcoal, that's what I've got on my website, which is great. And taking that to flush out the toxins from the body, the excess toxins. Great that you're vegan, that's great. Obviously you're not having dairy, so I would look at the gluten, because food sensitivities can also be linked in there. So that's a really important thing to look at, is cutting out those things that are potentially causing aggravation. So I'd look at cutting out gluten for a kind of 12-week period. And then I've been working with someone recently who's had very bad hormonal acne, and she's been taking the hormone mix and the hormone tea, and that's been really helpful for her. But she did cut out the dairy and the gluten as well to add into that mix. It's about reducing those bad estrogens. So the reishi mushroom is a really important thing. Getting your body as clean as you can, because the skin is a representation of the gut. And the gut is linked to all the different areas within our body. So it's linked to the hormonal system, to the brain. So clearing out your system, having that good detoxification of your body. Sometimes in that detoxification process, the spots can briefly get a little bit worse, but then they start to go down and reduce. One of the things that works really well, or can, is calendula. Calendula is very soothing, just topically on the skin, but it's about looking at the insides of your body and really supporting that. So as I said, things like the maca, the reishi mushroom, it's those adaptogenic herbs that work on the endocrine system, which is the hormonal system, reducing the cortisol in your body, like I talked about in the earlier bit. This is another key part for really supporting our hormonal health. So those are a few tips on that. Okay, so we're looking at our hormone health. We've looked at a few different issues that are coming up for people. Low sex drive is another big one for women that happens a lot after they've had kids. Their sex drive massively decreases, and this quite often is linked to hormonal imbalance. Also can be linked to tiredness. You know, after you've had kids, quite often you do feel more tired because you're running around more, but your hormones can be out of whack. And after giving birth, the hormones can stay out of balance for quite a long time if we don't rectify these things. So there's different herbs that you can add in to help that. Maca is another great one for that. Maca is brilliant to support increasing our sex drive and helping support that hormonal rebalance. I recently created a new mix. Oh, there we go. It's called Loving Mix, and this is an incredible concoction of dragon fruit, horny goatweed, baobab, Siberian ginseng, nettle, rosehip, maca, wheatgrass, sea buckthorn, turkey tail mushrooms, ashwagandha, shatavari, and beetroot. And I've been having great reviews from people who have been using that to increase their sex drive. I'm taking it every day, not to increase my sex drive, but just to open my heart. It's very heart opening, and also, again, balancing for the hormones. So that's a really nice thing to have. You know, for me, I want to feel energized and uplifted, and the things that increase your sex drive also make you feel energized and uplifted. Kind of all goes together, because it's working on our adrenals, it's working on our endocrine system. The more relaxed you can feel in the body, the more everything's going to work better. Okay, someone said, any tips for dark circles under the eyes? Can these be linked to gut? Yes, so generally the dark circles under the eyes are linked to kidneys and adrenals. So it's linked quite often to stress, feeling really overworked, overwhelmed, that stress just being too much. So if we can add in things to support the kidneys, drinking more water, dehydration is a big part of that. It can be lack of sleep. It can be many things. So food intolerances and food allergies. If you're eating food that you're intolerant to, you can get those dark circles under your eyes. It can be a sign of parasites in the gut and too much bad bacteria, which is then having an impact on the kidneys. So generally it's linked to the kidneys, but this can be linked to stress from the adrenals because the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. This can be linked to the parasites affecting the body, putting more stress on the body and more stress on the kidneys. Hydration affects the kidneys straight away. So having a little bit of raw grey sea salt or Icelandic salt is my new favourite. Amazing salt, Icelandic salt. So putting a little bit of that in all your water, making sure you're drinking filtered water, really important for hormone health in general, drinking filtered water, because there is so many hormones in our water from people taking birth control pills and peeing it out. And yes, the water's clean, but there's still lots of hormones within that water. So that's a really important thing to look at. Also having other things, the salt's very supportive of kidney health. When I talk about salt, it's never table salt. It's having these like raw grey sea salt, Celtic salt, Icelandic salt, Himalayan salt, adding those good salts in to support you, because salt is very important to reduce the stress in the body and support the kidney function. So those are a few tips for helping, but I would also look at potentially heavy metals in the body. I'd look at cutting out dairy and gluten, seeing if that helps to reduce it, because those intolerances can put a strain. So a few tips there for that. Someone said, what would you recommend for joint pain and stiffness post-menopause? Great question. So as we get older, as our hormones shift, as the progesterone lessens, and this is a big part of it, it's the progesterone lessening. So progesterone is is a hormone that is linked to youth. So as we get older, our progesterone levels drop off, and that's where we feel older and more tired in our body. So getting a good wild yam progesterone cream, rubbing it in your body is a good thing. But internally, looking at taking more essential fats, this is really good. And I would recommend essential fats from a plant-based source, such as, there's a great one on my website, an omega-3 oil that you just drop in your mouth, which is from blue-green algae oil, and it's plant-based from clean water. The reason that I don't recommend the fish is because most fish oils are very toxic because of the heavy metals and pollution in our water. So they can grow marine phytoplankton and blue-green algae in clean water, and that's a great thing to have those essential fats from them. Really easy to digest, but upping those essential fats are key. Having more avocados, more nuts and seeds, really, really important. But you want some of the essential fats in the EPA and DHA form so the body can utilize them straight away, which is the blue-green algae or marine phytoplankton, so that the body can uptake that. That's really key. Rubbing also turmeric, having more turmeric, because turmeric's a natural anti-inflammatory. Depending on if you're on medication, MSM is also incredible. MSM has some contraindications with medication, so always cross-reference if you are on medication with anything I am saying. MSM, though, helps to reduce calcification in the body, and this is a key for stiffness in the joints. So I would get on the MSM if you can. Start off on a small dose and gradually work your way up. I love MSM. It's really good. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, don't have it. Again, some of the things I've been talking about today, because they affect the hormonal system, you wouldn't want to have if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. So do drop me a message if you're pregnant and breastfeeding and need some support, because you have to be careful, because you don't want to affect the hormonal system. But there are ways that you can do things gently just to support your body. My favourite movable water system, great question. On my website is a Nikken Pymag water system, and I've had mine for 15 and a half years now, and I absolutely love it. It's my favourite. really good water filter. The other one that's great is the Berkey, the big Berkey. It's quite a big one, the Berkey, but that's another really good one. Those are my two favorites. The other one that's good, that's a kind of lower price range, the Berkey is about, I think, 200, and so is the Mag is about 250, the Nikken Mag. The Zero water filter has been getting some great reviews, and I think that's about 60. So that's, I haven't personally tried that, but I've looked at some reviews, and that's meant to be quite a good one. So those are a few different ones. All three are movable. The Nikken one is the one I've got the most experience with because I've had that for so long, and that's the one on my website. So do check that out. In fact, you can use the discount code on that to get it cheaper. So that, hopefully that's helpful. Someone said, what are heavy metals? Yeah, heavy metals are something that that are all around us. They're in the air we breathe, they're in non-organic food, they're in the water that we drink, and heavy metals can have a big impact on gut health, on overall health. Heavy metals can lead to parasites because parasites can feed on heavy metals. A lot of children are having high heavy metals in their systems. Chemtrails, you know, the spraying that's all around us. If you live in the countryside, the spraying of fields. So these are all things that create heavy metals in your body, and they sit and they affect your gut, they affect your brain. You know, they can have a really big impact. So what I like is, on my website, there's something called Xeotrex, and this is a zeolite with fulvic acid and other things that helps to detoxify heavy metals from your body. Really gently, really easily. You just have to make sure you're drinking plenty of water when you have it. Someone said, with D3, 10,000 IUD a day with K2 dosage is most effective. Cannot find a good answer. So you want to take 10,000 IUD of D3 with K2 a day. The K2 will just come in the right proportion with the D3. I wouldn't worry about the amount of that. And you can get lots of K2 for vitamin K from green leafy vegetables as well. So D3 with K2, having 10,000 IUD a day of that for 1 month, and then you want to drop down, if you're a woman, to 4,000 IUD a day. You don't want to stay on that 10,000 because that's a really high dose to rectify a deficiency. So that would be just that kind of zooming up level, and then you'd want to have 4,000 to maintain where you're at. So if you get out in the sun a lot, now that the sun's starting to come back, you wouldn't need to take it after you take a month of that 10,000 to up your levels through the summer. And then come September, October, I would start taking it again to keep your levels up. But you should only have to take the maintenance dose of 4,000 IUD a day. So hopefully that is helpful. I've got two different ones on my website, vitamin D, that are really good, one liquid and one pill form, which is great. Yeah, what I'll do is, I can't type them whilst I'm talking. After I've done the my talk, I will go in, I'll put the links to the Berkey and to the Nikken Mag. But if you go onto my website, then the Nikken Mag is in the shop there. So just scroll through, but I will put a link in afterwards. But it's a bit hard to do all that whilst still talking. So I will do that afterwards. But yeah, I would, my favourite, as I said, is the Nikken one, and I've had the most experience, and I've recommended it to people, you know, throughout time. It filters out fluoride, it filters out a lot of heavy metals, it's filtering out the hormones and things like that. But what's really cool about it that I like is it's got the minerals in it as well, so it's remineralizing the water. So you clean the water and then you remineralize it. And what Nikken have done, they've got magnets in there as well. They're mimicking nature, they're mimicking what spring water should be like. So mineral rich, it's got these rocks that go in the bottom, it looks really cool. So it goes over the rocks to collect that magnetic mineral charge before you drink it. So it means that the size of the water molecule is smaller, so it's more absorbable in the body. So it means it hydrates you at a greater level. So hopefully that is helpful to you. Okay. It often doesn't come in the right dose, the K2. So what I would say is, as long as you're getting, so the one on my website is a really good one that's got the right amount of K2 in it. So do check that one out. It's a really lovely one. And if you're getting leafy green vegetables and you're eating enough of that as well, then you're going to have that balance with it naturally. So that's, I check out the ones on there because that is in a good form. So do have a look on there. Okay, so do keep putting your questions in, because it's great to have this interaction and be able to answer what you guys really need to hear. So we've talked about low sex drive a little bit and some of the things you can do to add in there. I've got a super cool thing that I've been loving, and I think every woman should have this. Oh, it's called Euphoria, and this is an ecstatic herbal elixir. This is super cool. This is a new creation. I love creating. It's one of my favorite things. That's my new part of my new title, is I'm a superfood alchemist, because I love blending things and creating magic. You know, there's a lovely meme that was going around that it said, what did you do as a child that brought you great joy? Because that's what you should be doing as a grown-up for your living. And I used to love being at the bottom of my garden with the leaves and the flowers and twigs and making concoctions. Loved it. I'd spend ages doing that. And now I do that for a living. I make concoctions, not with mud and leaves and twigs, but this one here, the Euphoria, you do this. And drop it into your mouth. It's a tincture, so it's alcohol based. And it's blue lotus, mugwort, hawthorn, reishi, turkey tail mushroom, cacao, horny goatweed, and maple syrup. And it gives you such a relaxed feeling of bliss. It's really good if you want to engage in sexual activities with someone, because it really makes you feel blissful. But it's also really good. I sit and have it throughout the day when I'm working, because it just makes me feel good. You go, ah. And I think this is so important for women, that ability to drop into ourselves, to go beyond the mind, into our hearts, and connect with operating as a woman. You know, we live in a world that's very male dominated, and everything is done especially in business, in this male way. It's like, you know, you've got to do it like this. This is how you do it. But women have much more of a kind of floaty, like real feminine energy, is that floaty, grounded, strong, but not hard edges. It's that, hopefully you can feel what I'm transmitting when I'm saying it. And when we can operate from that more floaty space, and I don't mean floaty being up in the air and non-grounded, I mean that really earthy, grounded, connected, but soft energy, we can get so much more done, and we can convey so much more. Women are emotional beings. And one of the things that I've encountered with the work I'm doing with women, I'm working so much more with women now, and I'm creating at the moment an amazing 6-month course for women about awakening sexuality and awakening their wild woman, but nutrition, plant wisdom, you know, kind of calling on that inner plant medicine woman that is in all of us, that kind of wise woman of the tribe, and working with that. And I've been running these groups, these wild woman workshops now for the last 6 months, and it's so interesting seeing the journey that women are on at the moment of coming back into ourselves. And one of the things I've noticed is, if we can get out of our head, if we can get into our body, if we can connect with our emotions, if we can allow them to flow as opposed to suppressing them, this is really beneficial for so many things. And that suppression of emotion is part of what is happening with women with weight gain. Because you think about it, what we do as women quite often is we have these emotions, we don't want to let them out, we don't want to always be cryy and over the top, so we push them down with food quite often. With that comfort food, we push the emotions down. Where do they go? Into our stomach. What happens? We put on weight, we bloat more, we have this protective layer around us, which isn't what we want. So this is a really important thing that we start to address, allowing our emotions to come up in healthy ways, finding support from other women so that we can connect together and support each other, and adding in the tools of the nutrition. So for me, one of my best tools is the Euphoria. It's the loving mix. You know, these things are so helpful to me personally, to really ground into my body and grow. Someone's just said, when's the next one and when can we book? So the next Wild Woman, I think, is going to be, I've got to set the date, but it's going to be around the summer solstice. So check out my website. If you're not on my mailing list, do subscribe on my website to my mailing list, because I'm sending out newsletters on a regular basis. I also have a Telegram channel, which I will put in the chat afterwards, which is an uncensored platform where we can communicate freely about whatever without worrying that our Facebook accounts are going to be deleted or blocked, which mine has 3 times now. So Do follow me on Telegram, and as I said, I'll put that in the link afterwards. And yeah, I post up about my events, but it's going to be around the time of the summer solstice. I'm doing them on all the special dates to anchor in the energy of the earth, so we can work in harmony with the earth. This is another really key thing for women in empowering our health is working with the earth. The earth is the most powerful mother of all. You know, Mother Earth is there to support us and guide us. So when we can anchor into that, that can be really profound in our transformation, following the seasons. You know, women have seasons just like the earth has seasons. So when we can start tuning into our cycle, into our seasons as well, and we have many different seasons. You know, we have our monthly season, and we also have the bigger season of our life as we shift from the different phases of, you know, before the maiden, and, you know, switching through all of those different phases of our being is so important to honor and acknowledge each thing and to celebrate. This is something we don't do. You know, how many people had their period, their first bleed celebrated? How many people felt shame around it? How many people thought it was dirty and had to hide it? How many people still think that? You know, this healing around our womb is something we really need to tune into more and more, because our womb, or our womb space, whether you've got a womb or not, doesn't matter, but this womb space needs healing. That's where our center of power is. We need to sit in that center of power, and we need to honor our bleed, and we need to start working with it. And one of the things that has been really helpful for me is when I bleed, I go out and I bleed on the earth. The first kind of, as my bleed first starts, I go out and I sit on the earth and I bleed into the earth and I release and I honor the earth. And I think this is a really important thing to tune into, because what I found is when I do that, it's created great healing. It takes away the pain, because you're giving back to the earth of the most precious blood, the blood of life, this blood that can support and hold life. You're giving that back to the earth and honoring the earth and giving all those nutrients into the earth. And this is such a key thing that we tune into, because I've seen huge transformations when I've run women's circles for years with women when they start to honor their cycle, and also tracking your cycle, like what's going on in your cycle, so that you can know. You know, for me, there are certain days when it's the first day I ovulate, I'm really grumpy and I don't want to be around anyone. I go quite inward, and honoring that and knowing that so I can work slightly around that is really key. Also, 8 days before my bleed starts again, I'm really moody and don't want to be around anyone. So when you have these cycles, then you know you're not going mad. You know, how many times have women been told that they're going mad, that they're mental, and they're not, they're frustrated. Another thing is acknowledging what comes up when you're in your menstruation time that really aggravates you are generally things you've suppressed the rest of the month and you've just put up with because you've got full energy. But when you're bleeding, 80% of your energy goes to your bleed. So we don't have the extra energy to put up with things. So that's why we're more snappy. That's why we're more short. And that's why the red tents are such a great idea, to get away, to escape, to rest, to recharge. Honoring your body is such a great thing, so important. Okay, a few more questions. What are your favorite music spiritual festivals when they run? Oh, great question. Into the Wild, it's not a music, there's music there. Into the Wild is a great festival. It's always good. I used to love the Green Gathering. I don't know what festivals are going to be running this year or not. But that's always good. Chris Cousins, the Life Arts one is always a great festival, and that's another great one. So yeah, those are a few for you. Into the Wild is a really cool one. Wider Horizons is another good one. Someone said, I remember my first one, not a happy memory. Exactly. So many people have these unhappy memories of their first one, and we need to go back and almost do ceremony in retrospect and heal that. And, you know, doing a moon time is another nice way to describe your period. Doing a moon time ceremony where you collect some of your blood and you offer it to the earth, and you acknowledge and honor the system, and you release the hurt, you release the pain from your first time. And this is some of what I'm going to be covering we cover some of this stuff pardon me, in the Wild Woman, and also be covering it in the new Women's Empowerment 6-month course when that comes. Someone said, could you kindly share chocolate vegan Easter cake recipes with us? Don't know so much about Easter cake recipes. I'll have to think about an Easter cake ones. For me, I love making chocolate, healthy chocolate. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I suppose a really good, actually, there is a great Easter cake recipe that is really lovely that's on my website. It's not called an Easter cake. Again, I'll post it up after my talk in the links with you. And it's got a lovely raw chocolate fudge on top, which is just delicious. I'm running on Wednesday a raw chocolate making workshop online via Zoom, and if anyone wants to order this weekend, I can do there's 2 more spaces, and I can send the packs out on Monday, so you'd get it just in time for Wednesday. So it's cutting it a little bit fine, but it should work if you do it. I potentially could get it posted today. So that's learning how to make your own chocolate. It's one of the things I absolutely love doing, showing people how to make healthy chocolate, because chocolate has really transformed my my whole being. Learning to make healthy chocolate, it's really made such a difference to my whole life, because chocolate, as for a woman, is such a powerful healer. You know, chocolate, raw cacao. When I talk about chocolate, I'm not talking about dairy milk. I'm not talking about chocolate that has been roasted, filled with dairy and refined sugar. This is not what I mean by chocolate. In fact, that's blasphemous to chocolate. The Raw Chocolate Workshop is from 10 till 12 in the morning. There is also a recording of it. It's this coming Wednesday. So if you can't make it, do sign up. You can get the pack and then you can watch the recording of it. And follow along with making the chocolate like that. So if you can't make it live, you can still book on it and get the pack. You get molds with the pack to make the chocolate and ingredients, etc. So chocolate is, when I talk about chocolate, I'm talking about raw cacao, is one of the most powerful medicines for women. It opens our heart up to love. It increases anandamide, which is a bliss chemical. It is just such a, it helps with dopamine levels, serotonin levels, just amazing things. Really, just incredible. So raw chocolate is something that I highly recommend that you get into, whether it's in the form of putting some raw cacao powder into a smoothie, whether it's by making raw chocolates, whether it's by putting raw cacao into a raw cake, loads of different things, or making some balls, loads of different ways you can have raw chocolate. Raw fudge is delicious, but that chocolate helps to keep women balanced because it's high in magnesium. So that's why we crave chocolate, because our body wants the magnesium, which is vital for our cycle. So really important thing to have in there. And chocolate is a great carrier of other things. It's like a deliverer. It delivers in the medicine. So you can put in your medicinal mushroom mix. So you're getting the reishi and the other mushrooms. Some great female mushrooms to support females are maitake and shiitake and turkey tails, which are all in my mushroom mix. Those are really good female ones. Reishi as well. Reishi is the queen of longevity. So reishi is that that top kind of mushroom for women. So really important. Someone said, is toasted cacao okay? Top adrenal products too, please. Roasted. So when cacao is roasted, it becomes cocoa. So cacao is non-roasted, it's in its raw form, and that's what we want. We don't want the roasted cocoa, because a lot of the nutrients have degraded in that roasting process. So it's the raw cacao that we really want. So someone just said top adrenal products. Yeah, adrenals are super important for everything. You know, so many people that I see one-to-one or in my mentorship groups have adrenal issues, because we live in a world where it's like boom, it's all go. You know, we don't stop and rest. A lot of people have been programmed as well that, you know, women have this guilt if they stop and sit down and read a book. They feel guilty because they should be doing something. You know, and women now are juggling so many hats. They're juggling working, they're juggling being a mother, they're juggling house, you know, they're juggling all these things, and it's too much. And we need to stop and we need to chill out. We need to drop into ourselves more. This is super important. and giving yourself permission to rest, giving yourself permission to do a workshop about something you love, giving yourself permission just to sit in the sun and absorb that vitamin D, or go for a walk in nature, is so important, without that guilt that women have. Women have it more than men, I've noticed. This guilt that just, especially if you're a mother, that just seems to override everything. That mum guilt is just a terrible thing, and we have to deprogram ourselves from that, which can be an ongoing thing. I'm still working on the deprogramming, because it comes up, but I override it and say, nah, not having that. I'm going to do this anyway. So that ability to rest, and through breathing, through meditation, through listening to nice music. One of my favorite things is dancing. You know, just really getting into releasing, and dancing is such an important thing to help reduce stress. But also we can add in foods that support our adrenals. So what we can take to support our adrenals, the medicinal mushrooms are all key to support adrenals. Ashwagandha, shatavari, foti, gynostema. These are all herbs that support the adrenals. Tulsi is amazing. You can get Tulsi tea, great, an adaptogenic herb. So it's the It's the adaptogens that help to support us in these ways, to support the adrenals. And I've got quite a few products that work to support it. So I've got something called Longevity, and there are 3 flavors: original, chai, or cacao. And the Longevity has in it as a base, all of them have reishi, chaga, ashwagandha, foti, gynostema. And then the chai one has chai spices, the cacao one has chicory, turmeric, and cacao. But they're all designed to support the adrenals. All of those things are adrenal foods. Another thing that is incredible for the adrenals is Shilajit. Shilajit is a tar that oozes out of the rocks in the Himalayas, and this is incredible for the adrenals. Amazing hormone support, absolutely incredible thing. So Shilajit is just remarkable. So medicinal mushrooms, your adaptogenic herbs, Shilajit, all of these things are great for the adrenals. Also licorice root. Not licorice, the sweet candy that you eat, but licorice root, really, really good for the adrenals. Generally with adrenals, it's black foods that help to support them. So adding in not burnt foods, but black foods, like your medicinal mushrooms, they're that blacky brown, like the licorice root, and all those things that I've mentioned, really, really helpful as well. Someone says, I've bought toasted cacao nibs. Well, then that's some bad labeling, because generally cacao is not roasted. So if it does say toasted, then they're okay, and you'll get some nutrients, but not as much as the raw cacao nibs. Someone said, can you recommend anything to lower cholesterol? So cholesterol is a funny one, and there's a lot of controversy out there about cholesterol. Because cholesterol is very important, especially to women. And this is a really key thing. Women need fat as we get older, more so. So as we start going into perimenopause, fat is essential. Cholesterol is essential to the production of hormones. Okay? So we don't want too much bad cholesterol, but we really need good cholesterol. So cutting out animal foods is a great way to reduce bad cholesterol, and having a plant-based diet. That's one of the easiest, simplest things that you can do. But just being aware that there's a lot of stuff out there, I've got to be diplomatic in words here, that is designed to get us onto certain pills and things like that, when maybe we didn't need to, because actually certain things are useful, and they've been framed in the wrong way. So good cholesterol is key to women. Really, really important that we've got good cholesterol levels as we get older. So adding in that fat, ghee, which is clarified butter, getting an organic ghee is a really amount of those good fats is so important, because otherwise you will have more perimenopausal issues and menopausal issues, because your body doesn't have the support it needs for those hormones. So hopefully that's helped. Someone said, I need to deprogram so much. Events like this really help me to take me away from every day and help me to remember how I want to be, then step back into real life and struggle to change things. Yeah, it's something that really does happen, and that's why I'm creating a 6-month course. I've been running 3-month mentorship programs with people, and that's really helpful and it really supportive of people, because it takes time to make change. And so if we just have this burst, it's great because you've got that enthusiasm, but then you come away and you've got all these things around you. So when you've got that support through a group program like the mentorship program or my upcoming women's one, you can have that support and guidance on a longer process so that we can get out of our programs, because it does take time and we need that support and help to guide us. So it does take time, and it is something that we have to keep going back to. Ho'oponopono for me is a really helpful thing on that front, because it keeps guiding me back into I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And keep saying that to yourself to support yourself, because we're not perfect, no one is, and it's an ongoing learning. So we need to just remember that and be good to ourselves, and just put time in your diary and make it a non-negotiable. It's like stick in that 15 minutes in the morning to do your exercises. I've been doing, I've got a membership program, which is great. It's a monthly membership, so you can join for a month or join for a year. And in the membership, what's great is that there is that support in the group. There's a Telegram group. There's twice monthly videos and workshops. So tomorrow is building immunity. That's what we're doing in the membership. It's £33 a month, and as I said, you can drop it whenever. The raw chocolate workshop is part of that as well. So if you're a member, you get loads of great content, loads of recipes. You get access to all my past talks, so a huge amount of resources for people. But you get that support as well, that accountability. You can pop into the Telegram group and say help. But you know, part of it was a tummy tamer challenge that I did, a 90-day tummy tamer, which finishes in a few days. And I've lost 9 inches around my waist, and I've not done a huge amount, but it's been consistent. And I've scheduled it into my day. I'm doing 10 minutes of exercise first thing in the morning. It's only 10 minutes, but that 10 minutes has made such a difference to my waist, and it's been brilliant. It helps bring cortisol down as well. So, you know, adding in that time that is realistic. Sometimes a whole day is not realistic. You know, I've struggled to have a whole day off. So, you know, a whole day can be hard, but you know, an hour chunk or half a day is much more doable. So you have to look at what is doable within your life, within your schedule, that you can stick to. That is the important thing. Yeah, low-fat diets and slimming clubs, yeah, exactly. Really not a good idea, low-fat diets. If you want to lose weight, one of the best ways to do it is by cutting out a lot of the refined carbs, cutting out refined sugar, and exercising. That is key to losing weight. Fat is so important for us, and we've been led this huge lie that fat is bad. Fat is essential. You don't want the wrong fats, don't get me wrong. Bacon fat or stuff like that, that's not good for you, and that will clog up your arteries and do everything. But raw fats, nuts, seeds, avocados, super good. And I've increased my fats whilst I've been doing this and losing weight. So it's not the fat element. For me, one of the keys, and I talk about this in the Tummy Tamer masterclass that I've done, which is a pre-recording, is the carbs. That's you know, the refined carbs. That's a really big one in there. Someone said, yeah, they all work on calorific deficits. You can only lose weight this way. Well, the thing is, I have quite a high calorie diet, but it's the right kind of calories that your body can process. So, you know, quite often people eat totally the wrong calories, and that is the problem. That's where it comes from. So I've seen some of these programs, and what they're recommending people eat is not necessarily healthy. It might get the weight off short term, but the weight will come piling back on probably and more when they finish. Whereas if you have a lifestyle change and you actually start eating in a really healthy way that's going to fulfill your body will naturally go into its optimum weight. Someone said your membership, which includes an exercise program. So my membership has some exercise videos. They're a series of exercise videos in there. So it's not so much an exercise program, but it's a series within the Tummy Tamer program. The membership is very much about, there's a section on yoga, there's a section on nutrition, there's a section on meditation, breathing. So it encompasses all of those different aspects. But the yoga section is a smaller part of it. So it's mainly focusing on the nutrition, the well-being, the meditation, all of that kind of jazz, and the support in the Telegram group for that. So you can find the membership. There's a membership tab. Again, I'll post it after the talk into here, but there's a tab on my website that says membership. So you click on there and you can choose a month or a year. You can choose just to do a month or it to be ongoing, however you like. And there's a huge resource there. And people have been getting so much out of it, which is what I love. It's creating a really nice community, and that's what I love about all of this. And you get discounts on some of my workshops. Some of them are free and you just have to pay for the resources, like the pack for the chocolate workshop, all that kind of jazz. So just going to summarize because we've got 5 minutes left. Key things to look at as a woman: reducing your cortisol in your body, so adding in those adaptogenic herbs to really support you. One of my favorite things to add in for that is I've got a CBD hot chocolate, which is what I'm drinking right now, and it's raw cacao, no refined sugar. It's got CBD and it's got medicinal mushrooms, so it's calming and relaxing to the body. So I love drinking that just to kind of go, and it's my treat. It feels special when I drink that, more than a herbal tea. It's like, that's my special thing that I'm having, that CBD hot chocolate. So I really love that, and that's a great way to reduce stress. CBD is great at reducing stress in the body. So having those nice treats that are good for your body to help support you, really, really key. Adding in the raw cacao to help support your magnesium levels. And if you do suffer from PMS, look at having a magnesium supplement, something like Magnesium Calm. As we get older, making sure that we're having those essential fats, ideally from plant sources. So the blue-green algae oil, marine phytoplankton oil, getting those in. Again, there on my website, there's a vegan omega-3 on there. So adding something like that in on a regular basis, adding in your avocados, adding in your nuts and seeds, so that you're getting those good fats to support your hormones as you get older. Adding in the herbs if you need to support your hormones. So things like your maca, your medicinal mushrooms, things like wheatgrass is very good, that detoxifying element to your body. Adding in, if you need, things like my hormone tea, which has got the red clover, the passion flower, the reishi mushroom in there, chamomile, hibiscus, all of those things to help support that in there. You know, getting off the refined foods and refined sugar as much as you can, because they're not going to do your body any favor. The more clean you can eat, the more fruits and vegetables, the better you'll feel in your body, the more energy you'll have, the more vitality. And looking at, you know, ways that you can have that time out, that you can chill out and really connect into yourself and connect into the deeper woman. What does she want to say? What has she suppressed all her life? You know, what are you not saying? Well, how are you not honoring your cycle? You know, and connecting into your bleed and honouring it, and not going, oh God, it's that time of the month again, which we have been programmed to do, and seeing it as a dirty, nasty thing that's going to slow us down. But instead, look at it as, it's been given to me as a gift to slow down at that time, to honour myself, to connect with the earth, to connect with my body, and to honour the amazing thing that is going on in my body each month. So these are things to really tune into and look at. And as I said, if you want to work more deeply on these things, drop me a message, sign up to my mailing list, which is on my website. It's a pop-up thing that comes up. Drop me a line if you're interested in knowing more about this 6-month program I'm developing for awakening our wild woman, for stepping into our sexuality more, for enhancing that, for losing weight in a really lovely, beautiful way, and really supporting women together in all aspects of our womanhood. So drop me a line if you are interested in that. All the information's on my website, which is juliettebryant.com. It's up in the comments above. And don't forget, there's a 10% voucher off for products on my website. So check that out. Type in Life Arts at checkout to get that discount. I hope you've all enjoyed it, and it's answered all your questions. Been lovely being here. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to donate to Helen Rollinson through the Life Art thing. Leslie put up a tab about it earlier in here. So do donate to them. They're a great charity, and thank you to Life Arts for all the amazing work that you do. Really lovely being part of it all in the Life Arts community. Great stuff today, so do check that out. And thank you, Leslie, for all your hard work, and thank you, Chris Cousins, for the Life Arts brand and the wonderful content. So lovely to see you all. Yeah, Life Arts is the code for the website, just like that, in lowercase, all one word, to get you 10% off my website. So lots of love. Do sign up to my mailing list or drop me a private message so that I've got your details if you want to know more. And I will post up links in here for things as well. So lots of love to you all, and have a lovely day. Don't forget to get out in the sun if you can, even just for 5 minutes in between talks, to absorb some of that vitamin D. Take care. Lots of love.